Hello all, welcome to oratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about PL by SQL, which we call it as procedural language extension for structured query language. What exactly this particular procedural language and what is SQL? So far we discussed already about what is SQL, which has functionalities to retrieve as well as to manipulate the data. But what is the advantage of PL by SQL? So this PL by SQL provides programmatic flavor for SQL. So what do you mean by programmatic flavor? If you consider any programming language in the software, it can be C language, Java language, Python, any language if you consider, they have a set of logics or it is a set of statements or keywords which allows us to perform a logical execution of your code. Nothing but let us say, I want to perform a particular functionality iterated 10 times. I can use a loop. Let us say I want to design some business logic based on some condition. Yes, I can use switcher or maybe if condition or else if else condition kind of logic. Or let us say I want to get the data and manipulate the information based on some condition. Yes, you can first of all use the cursors and then you can use if conditions and then you can manipulate and then later on you can provide the information. So a programming language provides set of iterations, set of commands which allows us to design the logic according to the business requirement. That SQL will not have it. SQL does not have that kind of logic. Let us say if I want to perform the updation statement based on some conditional logic, it's very difficult. You cannot do in an automated way, but using PL by SQL, we can do it. We'll get more understanding when we dig into this one. And also one more important thing is what is a prerequisite to learn PL by SQL? See, this is one of the very easier language. Its only thing is you just need to dedicate some amount of time in this one. If you are from a functional background, if you're from analytical background, or if you're from any kind of background, it can be a non-IT background also, it is very easier to learn this particular PL by SQL programming language. So when most of the developers who are from non-programming, when you say programming language, they just fear saying that they can't learn it. No, it's not like that. It's very easy. The normal mathematics which you have been learning, you just need to use the same kind of logics here. We just have some set of keywords that has to be understood. Okay, let's get into session. So the first session on the PL/SQL, what we want to understand is how do we declare variables as well as how do we write sample set of PL by SQL statements. Okay, so the objectives is like understand the structure of your PL by SQL program. When you write any program in any language, if you consider, because if your language let us say if you want to write any C language program, you have to start with sort of like a packages, then you have to write a function name main, and then you have to write a logic inside it. Even if you consider like a Java language, you have to follow similar syntax. So every language will have a syntax, every language will have set of keywords. Now in our case, PL by SQL has set of blocks. That is the reason it's called block oriented programming language also, and it's also called procedural language. And we need to understand how do we declare variables, because variables are temporary memory allocation content using which we can perform the business logic based on the variable values. And how do we use the different set of data types and identifiers, and how do we execute a particular simple program. Okay, yeah. So how does a PL/SQL program look like? So the first basic thing we have to understand is when you want to write a program, we need to understand where to write what and what functionality each particular block will do it. That's the reason it is called block oriented programming language, because when you write something, first of all you have to make sure that what you want to achieve and where you should write it. So PL by SQL have 4 blocks: declare block, begin, exception, and end. And here if you observe, I mentioned that begin and end are mandatory. Whenever you write any PL by SQL program, this begin and end are mandatory. If you don't write that, your program will not work. Okay, and the major or the total business logic which you write in your PL by SQL program is between begin and end. So the declare block, which we use it for the purpose of declaring variables or the temporary allocation. So we have, if you want to use any variable inside the begin block, that has to be declared in the declare block. Okay, and then you can perform the business logic in the begin section. You can call it a section also or block, either way. So you have to mention the logic in the begin section. And exception is kind of like when you want to handle some kind of exception. Of course it's not mandatory. If you don't write your appropriate exception handlers, Oracle will raise an exception by default. Okay, but we have to write it, because when you write a program, your program should not just end up without providing a proper execution information. Right now, let us say you wrote a program, It is not working and saying that there is some particular data issue. But if you handle it and you have to provide a proper information to the business user so that he can correct it. If you just don't handle the exception, what will happen is Oracle will give the exception according to its own understanding. So that's the reason we always need to have exception handling logic in any of the programming language whichever you consider. Okay, now understand carefully. So the PL by SQL program has 4 blocks. Out of the 4 blocks, begin and end are mandatory. The business logic, whatever you write, will be written between the begin and end. Declare section is for the purpose of declaring variable. Exception section or exception block is for the purpose of to handle the errors. Okay. Now let's, before proceeding further, I just want to write a very simple program, hello world, in the PL by SQL. Okay. So always enable line numbers here. And this is a free tool from Oracle. It is called Oracle SQL Developer. It is a it's just a simple free tool. Okay, I can install your local desktop. Now, so as we discussed, what are the 4 blocks of our PL by SQL? Declare, begin, exception, and end. Okay. So this is what we declared. And here, if you observe, for the end, we have mentioned semicolon. It says that this is the end of your program. And this particular program, this is also called anonymous block. We'll understand later why it is called anonymous block. Okay. Now, just now we understood that declare section is not mandatory. So I'll just give a comment. Exception is not mandatory. I'll just give a comment. So yeah, I mentioned begin and end. Will this work? And also, if you observe, I mentioned the extension as .sql. Okay. So in PL by SQL, you'll come across lot number of extensions. Don't worry about that. Some developers save it as PLS, PLB, PKS, PKB, .sql. You'll find lot number of file extension. Doesn't matter. It is not that much strict, similar to Java or C language. Okay. Now, so here, if you observe the pink color statement, it is just giving a pink color signal saying that there is some issue, but we are not sure what is the issue, right? Let's compile. How do we compile? Similar to your normal SQL statement, which we have been compiling. You can use Control Enter, F5, F9. Lot number of things will work. Yeah, okay. It says that some kind of issue with some error. I started with error because that's one of the very interesting way to learn more things in the programming language. That's the reason I want to show you what error it provides when you write some programming language, some program. It says that encounter the symbol and when expecting one of the following. What is that one of the following? It mentioned good amount of information, but to say frankly, even I am not sure what exactly it says. Sometimes the error what you get is totally different because that's how the syntactic the syntax analyzer of PL by SQL engine is working. Of course, there is some other reason. So now here I am not understanding what exactly it is, but as per my experience, what is the basic thing is when you write any begin and end block, it requires single, at least one statement. What does it mean? So you have written a program, you've not written anything in that. So, and you're compiling it. So the parser could not understand what you have written. That's the reason it's saying that the total program itself is a failure. So I cannot compile it. That's what it says. I'm not sure this is exact information from this block, but this is by understanding. Now, okay, how do I solve it, right? So very simple. We know our friend null. Just mention this null statement. It says that, boss, I have my begin and end block. I just mentioned a single statement, which is null. Of course, I don't have any business logic inside it, but I just want to run it. Fi, that's it. It says PL by SQL procedure, it says, right? Compiled or successfully completed. Of course, there is no output, there is no business logic, okay? So this is our first program with null information, right? Now, I'll write one more program. So how do I write? I just don't want to disturb this program, let it be. I want to write one more program. What you can do is click on your connection, right click on this, and you have an option called Open SQL Worksheet. Open SQL Worksheet. Okay. Now, so without saving also you can create a program, but the best practice always is whenever you write any program, save it. So I prefer to save it before rather than after. Okay. I'll just say save and mention hello world PL/SQL. So here, if you observe, file type can be anything. I was telling you, right? PLS, PLB, SQL, everything will work. Simply go with SQL as of now. Now, the requirement is write a PL/SQL program to display hello world in the output. Okay. The business requirement is to just simply write a PL by SQL program, display hello world in the output. So what do you require? We require begin and end. We don't require declare an exception as of now. Okay, we know that at least one statement is required, but how do you write output into a particular output window? Maybe if you are already from Java, I mean any other programming language, if it is C language, you should have written system.out.println, right? If it is Java background, oh sorry, this is Java, right? Yeah. If it is C language, you should have written printf, my favorite one. Okay. And Python, I don't remember, but yeah, let's get into PLSQL. And similarly in the PLSQL also, you have similar functionality, dbms underscore output dot put underscore line hello world, welcome to PL by SQL. Okay, let's run it. F5. Okay, still we got some issue. It's saying that identifier hello world welcome to PLSQL must be declared. So the basic thing is, in some other programming language, when you're dealing with strings, we used to use double quotes, but in PL by SQL, it is single quotes. That's the difference. So mention double quotes to single quotes. Change it. Now try it again. Yeah, it says completed successfully, but where does it print, right? Okay, for that, what you do is you can clear this log for this. You make use of this button to clear it, and here, okay. So now enable. There's something called dbms output. Okay, enable dbms output. Click on view, and you have an option to enable dbms output. Okay, click on this. And maybe if you are using some other tool like a Toad or something, you'll also have similar functionality. Okay, now I'll just click on, you have to click on plus symbol here, mention the connection in which you are running your program. I click on OK. Okay, now you can just drag and drop. You have different, you can, yeah, sometimes it behaves very weird. That's okay. Run it now. Yep. Hello world, welcome to PLSQL. Let me write one more statement. Put underscore line. I'll just say, okay, I have to use single quotes. Today's date is, okay, I'll just use concatenation sys date. Let's see what it will print. I'll clear this log first and run it again. And can you see today's, I mentioned, if I want to print single quote in the output, I have to mention 2 times. Okay. Then this is a concatenation operation, and this is my today's date, and you can format it accordingly. Okay. Let's get back to our slide. So we have seen very simple program, and begin and end section is a place where we write business logic. And in the begin and end section, you can write SQL statements as well as PLSQL statements also. So without SQL, there is no value for PL, because whatever the program which you write, that always depends upon some kind of data. That's the reason to understand PL, you have to know SQL first. Okay, let's get back to next slide. Yeah, so we have seen what is anonymous block. Why it is called anonymous block? Because the program which we have written is not having any name, even though the file has a name, but the program which we have written does not have any name. Unlike another programming language, if you consider C or Java, when you write a program, the program will have a name and the file will be moved into server, the application server. But in this particular database, Oracle database, when you write a PLSQL program, the PLSQL program, if the PL by SQL program is stored in the database, that is called stored program. We'll understand what a stored program in coming session. But for now, what are the program whichever we have written so far, the 2 programs which we have written, they are called anonymous block, and also they are also called as unnamed block, because the block does not have any name. Because when the block has a name, you will not have declared section. You will not use declare keyword, I mean to say. You will have a different way. You will have a program name there. You will have a procedure or a function name there. Okay. Yeah. So what are variables? Variables are temporary storage of data which we use for the purpose of performing some business logic, and we use it for set of reasons, like to store the values, to design your conditions according to that. And how many data types PL by SQL provides? It provides larger number of data types. A simple data types like the one which we are already aware, like a number with number, character, or varchar we call it as, and date, the boolean, and other important data types which in the PLSQL they are called composite data types. Nothing but a group of data types. Nothing but if you consider a record, if you consider any employee record, it has, assume that it has a 5 columns. Each column is having different data types, but you can consider them, you can combine them, and you can consider them as a composite data type. Okay. And then the other one is like a LOB, large objects. So we have been aware that like these like a database not only just store simple data types, they also store the complex data types and also the LOB objects. LOB objects nothing but large objects. You have a different set of formats for large object, like character large object, and like binary large object. So what does it mean, right? Now let us, if you want to store like this documents, a PDF documents for your employee record in the database, then you have to use blob. Or let us say if you want to store audio or video, right? If you consider Netflix or Amazon, what you say, Amazon Prime, so they are all video content that gets stored in database only, right? But they store in different format, and the data type for them is LOB. And how do we declare a variable, right? So this is syntax for declaring a variable. Again, each programming language will have a different way of declaring a variable. The concept is same, but the syntax is different. Okay. Now in PL by SQL, first of all, we have to declare the identifier. Identifier is nothing but the variable name, then followed by a data type. So here, if you observe in the square brackets, I mentioned few of the syntax settings which are not mandatory. Whatever you see in this square brackets, they are not mandatory. So the only thing mandatory when you want to declare a variable is identifier as well as data type. Okay, here if you observe the three examples of declaring a variable, in the first example it mentioned age constant, number of 2 is equal to 20 means number of 2 means like it at max it can have only 2 digits. Okay, nothing but maximum value can be 99, it cannot cross 99. The next, and also it is constant. Constant means that you cannot change the value. Once you declare it as a constant, you cannot change the value throughout your program, because there, when you deal with some programming, like if you want to consider some kind of formula which should not be changed using like by mistakenly in your program, then you better declare it as constant. The other one like number not null, similar one, but saying that you should not be null, right? So this is how we can declare variables. And you can also declare a variable without like mentioning the size of it. Okay, it's not required actually, but if you want to consider some kind of formula or a value saying that the value of that particular number should not exceed 2 digits at any point of time, then yes, this is a best practice to use it. Let's declare simple variables and see our program. Right now I'll just create one more SQL worksheet, open. I'll clear this log. Okay, PLSQL variable sample1. Now, so I just want to perform a summation of two numbers and store the value in C. Declare begin. And these keywords are not case sensitive. That's why you can write in uppercase or lowercase. So what do you want to do? We want to perform a summation of two numbers, right? Summation of two numbers. What do you require? You require three variables. One is, let us say, first the syntax is identifier, nothing but A number. Next is data type, right? B number, C number. Okay. Now, let us say dbms underscore output dot println, sorry, output put underscore line. Value of A is, I'll just say A. Similarly, you can do for C, you can do for B also. This is best practice to always write dbms output so that, yep, all are empty, right? All are empty. Now I'll just assign a value. We can assign the value during declare section, or you can assign the value after, I mean to say in the business logic. Either way it should work. Okay. Okay, it behaves very differently sometimes. 1 minute. Yeah, this is how you can get it. Okay, this is okay still now for me. Yeah, okay, I'll just clear it. Now let's assign a variable. Yeah, this was the program. Let's assign the values and just perform it. So A is equal to 20, B is equal to 30. The assignment of value in PLSQL, we have to use colon equal to. Okay, we have to use colon equal to. The end of any line, the end of any statement is semicolon. So C is equal to A plus B. And again, you can print all these things and you can observe what is the values, right? Now run it. We have to get 50, right? If you observe, like for this simple summation, it is taking this much time. This is not database issue. This is my system issue. Okay. You can write comments. Summation of two numbers. always it's the best practice to write the comments whenever you write any program. So that like when you refer to your same program after 1 year, you should be able to understand what you have written, because by just seeing the program, you cannot understand sometimes. This is a simple program, but when you write in real time, when you write any program, it can be more than 1,000 lines also. So always write the comments in your program. Yep, this is how we have understood that we can declare a variable, and also you can declare different data types. It's not that number only work. We can define different data. Let's see one example. Let us say name varchar2 varchar2 100. Okay, I'll just say name is equal to oracle db, and you can print it. If you want to print it, what you can do, again the same logic, you can use it. Okay, let me, yeah, you can write here name of the database is, okay, you can just print name and see what will happen now. Name of the database oracle db. Okay, you can just, or if you want to get some more information, you can do later on, but yeah, this is how we can print it. Now next thing, so there are different set of data types which it supports. You have to use it based on your requirement. Okay, these are the different data types, and it can be more also with the deleted set of version which oracle is providing. 1 minute. Yeah, I think I jumped it. Yeah, so the percentile type attribute. So like so far we just saw declaring a variable of data type number as well as character. There is one more way of declaring a variable which oracle provides. It's called percentile type. So the purpose of this kind of thing is when you want to deal with declaring a variable, and that particular variable data type of the variable should be exactly same as data type of a particular column in a database table, then we have to use this particular percentile type of logic. So there's a much advantage when you use this kind of logic. So before that, what we can do is let's open one other worksheet, because I just want to know like what is a data type of a particular variable. Okay, or maybe what you can do, there is a different way of finding out the information also. You can expand this particular table, I mean this one, right? And you can just apply filter. Yep, it's totally stuck this time. One minute. I'm sorry for this. Okay, let it take time. So we'll just try to understand. So here, if you observe the example, v underscore name, nothing but variable name. So generally, when we declare variables, most of the times we follow a particular naming convention based on your organization or based on your general practice, what you follow. V means variable underscore name. And in this one here, it mentioned employees is a table name dot column name last underscore name percentile type. So the advantage of this one is, now let us say in the table employees, the last name is of varchar with 25 characters. So when you're trying to use this variable, it exactly applies the same particular data type, so that you can perfectly understand that, like if you're trying to assign a value greater than 25 characters, it will raise an issue, and from there you can easily understand, okay, you're dealing with some kind of value which is greater than that, it has to get into exception. There are a number of advantages of that. Sample anonymous block, yeah, we have seen this kind of example here. If you observe, like I just declared a variable percentile type like this, you can declare a variable employees dot employee underscore id percentile type. Okay, yeah, boolean variables which will have only two values, either true or false. Yeah, composite data types, which is very important. In the composite data types, you have these kind of things like a table, record, nested table, varray, nothing but variable array. LOB types, like we have CLOB, BLOB, where we generally use for the purpose of, now let us say for employee, you have to store the employee image, or you have to store the bank statement, or you have to store a PAN card, Aadhaar card, or kind of the personal documents for KYC purposes. Or let us say you want to store the insurance document. Like when for any of the insurance, medical insurance, you need to submit some set of soft copies so that your insurance agent will what you say, like validated, right? So you have to store, they store all the information in a particular, like a binary format or a LOB format in the appropriate databases. Binary substitution, this kind of concept is very rarely used these days, like but the functionality of this one is, and this works only in the SQL environment. SQLW environment. So like in the olden days, right? So before this particular IDE is like a SQL developer IDE, we used to use a tool called, if you observe carefully, and just write SQL or SQL plus, sorry, SQL plus W, or maybe SQL plus, yeah. So it opens a particular window. So this is how it used to look like. So these days we are not using this command prompt kind of screens. Now still it will work. Let's try. Yeah. So now let us say select this date from GL, and you can, yeah. So if you don't have if you don't have SQL developer, still you can use this one, but there's not that much advantage. Okay. So here what the sample it says is, like the variable, you declare a variable in the SQL prompt, and you are trying to assign a value for that particular variable which is declared before your anonymous block itself, but still you can use it because we have mentioned colon followed by this particular variable name. So this colon variable name syntax is used in most of the Oracle tools. Okay, but for now you can just ignore this kind of concept, but still if you have any of the old programs which are declared in this fashion, yes, this is the concept behind that. Binding and substitution. So binding is nothing but you declare a variable and you want to assign a value to it. That's a substitution, right? You're assigning a value to that. Okay. And dbms output put underscore line, we understood that like it is used for the purpose of printing some kind of output values in the console. Okay, if you want to use this particular dbms output in the normal command prompt window, the SQL plus prompt, then make sure that you have to enable the set server output on. Yeah, these are some of the guidelines when you use it. Okay. Yeah, so these are delimiters. These are very dangerous. Like when you are dealing with any of the PLSQL statement, or when you write any statement, or the identifiers, or any of your data value which you have it, make sure that you have the appropriate information in that, else the compilation will be lead into issue. Okay. Identifiers, we know what is identifier, nothing but a temporary variable which you declare. Okay. And literal is nothing but the hard-coded content which you write in your program. And whenever you declare any identifier, make sure that 1 minute. That's okay. Sometimes it happens. Now, yeah. So SQL functions in PL by SQL. Single row number, character, data type conversion. There are a lot number of functions which we generally use in PL by SQL. Like maybe if you have seen, let us say if I want to get a current date, right? I just use this date directly, it works. But let us say I want to get the number of employees in my employee table and print that in the PL by SQL program. Then what I have to do, I just need to write a cursor statement and get the output, and then I can use it, right? Or let us say if you want to get a timestamp, a lot number of functions which are provided. Data type conversion, yeah, we already discussed in our SQL also, like the same set of functions which you can use in your PLSQL also. So here if you observe, right, I can use the date function directly to underscore date, and I can mention my date value directly. So there are few functions which you can apply directly. There are few functions which cannot apply directly. I mean to say, like now let us say if I want to format my date, rather than using select statement, I can directly apply my function directly here in the PL by program. Let me, yeah, even abort is very dangerous. It doesn't work properly. So yep, you have to bear with this free tools always. Let me close this. Let me close this. Okay, let me just show you one sample. Oh man, this is hard this today. Okay, yeah, this happens in real time also. In any of your 16 GB memory system also it happens. There's no denying in that. It's okay, let it run. Nested block. So when you write any of the complex programming language, what we do is we write a block inside another block. That's called nested block. Writing a block inside another block is called nested block. So whether we use this one? Yes, we do use it. Like when you have very complex logic, and rather than writing different set of procedures and a function, what we can do is we can write one particular block inside another block, and the scope is according to that. Nothing but the child will have child scope and the parent will have parent scope kind of thing. Now let us say you declare a variable in the child, and obviously the scope of that variable is inside the child only. If you get out of that child, and the scope of that particular variable will be applied with the parent. So here, if you observe, right, this is what the example which I was talking about. So here, if you observe, the variable 2, which was declared inside the child block, will not be available in the parent, nothing but block A. Okay, when you declare a variable of parent, when you like here in the block A, if you observe, you have a variable called v1, but that can be accessed in the child block also. It's like normal general inheritance, right? You can inherit your parents' money, but your parent cannot inherit your money. I mean to say, like, it's not that you cannot, but yeah, that's how the concept is. So this is one of the example of that particular concept. So again, still this is still an anonymous block. The block does not have name, right? Okay, because this is not getting stored. I mean to say, this cannot be stored in the database. So you'll understand when you could really create a PL by SQL program, nothing but procedural function. What does the stored program mean? But here the block name which we mentioned, it is outer dot name. So here I have a variable which is there in both blocks, right? So here in the declared section, I have a name, and here I have a name. So when you are dealing with, if you want to refer to your parent block variable name, then you have to mention your block name dot your variable name. But if you refer directly, it'll just try to find out the variable within the local scope. That's the difference. Operators in PL by SQL, yes, all the operators which you had in the normal SQL will also be available in the PL by SQL also. So far we have just seen very simple examples of PL by SQL. Of course, I had some issues in my SQL developer, but that happens. Even how much prepared I have, sometimes I have to bear with this. Yeah, but anyway, so we understood the 4 blocks, and also we have seen 3 simple programs of declaring, like creating a PL by SQL anonymous block program. Okay, and also we have used how do we use DBMS output. This is one of the very important statement which we use most of the times. Okay, thank you.